Hello everyone, I'm Forum BX257, your friendly neighborhood 1980s and 90s G.I. Joe toy reviewer, and today I'm going to be talking about empty boxes. Well, more specifically, G.I. Joe official and unofficial carry cases like this one. Now, if that still doesn't sound terribly interesting, I will actually be going over exactly why I still use carry cases like this to store my vintage G.I. Joes. Now, back in my 7th G.I. Joe vlog, which was about storage, display, and maintenance, I only briefly touched upon the frustration of actually long-term storage of plastic, well, specifically plastic action figures like G.I. Joes, and how they really do need kind of an interesting maintenance regimen there. Starting with the officially licensed stuff, most of which I have in my collection. This is the first case released in late 1982. I already did a review of it many years ago, so I won't go into too much depth with it here. It held 12 figures with compartments for accessories and file cards, doubles as a display so that you can hook it up to your wall, and it was available as a bonus in late 1985 to 1986 if you ordered all 10 figures in the Operation Freedom 10 Original G.I. Joe figure set mail-away offer. One thing I neglected to mention in my original review was the fact that this is the only G.I. Joe carry case to feature name stickers. The 1982 release featured all 16 character names, and the following year it added the 16 new 1983 characters. This is an idea borrowed from the Kenner Star Wars carry cases of the time, and never used again. Next is the 1983 Pocket Patrol pack. This was the star of one of my old top 10 worst vintage G.I. Joe accessories videos, which was removed from YouTube, but some of my long-time viewers may still remember it. It held only 3 figures, was molded in the shape of an ammo magazine holder, and had a belt loop. While it was cheap enough to buy as many as your child-sized belt could hold, my major gripe was the fact that the flap opened backwards into the area presumably where your body was. Shortly after 1983, it was a staple of mail-order offers from 1985 straight to 1993. Due to the long release, there were several variations of the logo sticker to match the current design. It was also part of the later Starduster action figure mail-away set. The next one isn't a traditional case, it's the 1983 APC. Yes, most collectors consider it a toy, and a really great one at that, but Hasbro did cross-market it as a carrying case. Not only did it hold 28 figures, 26 in the back, 2 in the cab, it did so with foot pegs and seat belts, and more importantly, its bumper extended into a carry handle. As a toy, it's a really cool looking and realistic amphibious personnel carrier that actually floats in water. I checked. It was the first of very few G.I. Joe vehicles that had painted camouflage, and the tops of the cab and cargo roof were removable for better access to figures inside. It was also available later on as a mail-away, either with the tan canvas cargo roof or a rare Brazil overstock dark green roof. In 1984, we got our first officially licensed traditional briefcase-style vinyl carry case by Tara Toys. Tara Toys is the maker of 90% of the 80s and 90s action figure carry cases, both licensed and knockoff. This one held 24 figures in 2 fragile, vac-formed trays, and the figure slots were in 2 sizes. The wider ones were perfect for keeping figures with big accessories together. The artwork on one side looks very much like Herb Trimpe or someone influenced by Jack Kirby's style. The other side is a painting based on the iconic end scene of the 1984 cartoon intro. In 1985, Tara Toys made the vinyl jumbo collector's case, which acted as both figure and a small vehicle storage and display base, divided in 2, which doubles as a platform when the case is upright. Inside there is box art of the Silver Mirage, Armadillo, Night Landing, and Water Moccasin. On the outside is rarely used artwork originally made for the 1985 Sunbow Cartoon Syndication promotion poster, but it made its way to other licensed products like shoeboxes. Funnily enough, in this JCPenney catalog, they used a photo of a prototype case made from their 1984 knockoff jumbo case. Unlike most other carry cases, the jumbo collector's case had a large paper sticker sealing the 2 halves shut, often removed and discarded after purchase. This same large hexagonal design was used on many other licensees, Transformers being the most memorable. In 1986, Terra Toys made its first G.I. Joe specific item, the Collector's Showcase. Modeled after the US flag, it held 20 figures, or rather it came with 20 removable action figure waist clips. If these waist clips look familiar, that's because Hasbro would later use them in 1990 vehicles. I'm not sure if Hasbro designed them for Terra and took them back, or if Hasbro bought the design. This item was clearly a display first and a carry case second, unlike most other designs. It also explains why the clip-on removable feet are often missing on this item in the aftermarket. This is one item I don't have in my collection since I prefer a covered case over an open display. And yes, the US flag design was offered in Canada with no alterations. No wonder it wasn't popular here. Skipping over quite a few years, in 1992 Hasbro produces the large plastic Battle Figures collector case. Like Terra's jumbo case, it didn't have specific spots for figures, but came with 2 dividers, so you could store small vehicles in it too. These cardboard dividers could be placed and or removed along any of its 5 slots for a variety of organization sizes. The artwork was a mix of that year's action figure package art and box art from the roleplay electronic Battle Gear set. Hasbro repurposed this 2 more times, once for a Star Wars figure case, complete with brand new inner tray, when they revived the franchise in 1995. But before that, it was a G.I. Joe mail-away. And this is that mail-away from 1993, with its glorious 90s comic book inspired art borrowed from the 1992 product catalogs. Never available at retail, the green version came packed with 2 cardboard dividers, 2 black weapon accessory trees, one of which was unique to this set, a pack of 12 random Impel G.I. Joe cards, a unique collector's book which lists every US released toy, and a random mystery action figure. The mystery action figure was usually an overstocked 1984 Hooded Cobra Commander whose file cards lacked a flag point in the upper right, but sometimes other overstocked figures, usually from previous mail-away offers, filled in. Perhaps my favorite piece of this set is the collector book, whose compilation was made directly from Hasbro Records and shows an interesting entry for the Tiger Force lineup. It reveals how the toys were initially supposed to be released, in 2 series with unproduced Ripcord, Wild Bill, and Sabretooth figures. The final official carry case is also a 1993 mail-away exclusive, the Rapid Deployment Force 3-figure set. The 1983 Pocket Patrol pack returns in black plastic and is meant to carry the included Night Force Shockwave, Night Force Repeater, and Fast Draw. The figures didn't include their regular accessories, much to the dismay of collectors who missed these Toys R Us exclusive Night Force offerings when originally released. This is another set I don't have in my collection, but it's become a little pricey in the aftermarket over time, and that's money I'd rather spend on something more unique. You may have noticed little white packets in some of my carry cases. Those are silica gel packets. If you haven't watched vlog number 7, please do that as it explains why I use them. However, why I still use old carry cases is simple. They are perfect for allowing the old plastic to off-gas while still providing protection. Off-gassing is when plastic breaks down, either through natural age or an accelerant, like heat and or humidity, and releases chemicals, usually in the form of bromide and other various oxides. When the invisible chemicals from off-gassing plastic is trapped like a sealed box or sealed bag, it forms its own little atmosphere like a swamp and affects the plastic color and strength. Being in the sunlight, or UV exposure, is a different type of discoloration damage. The old cases are sealed enough to help the moisture-wicking silica gel to perform, but ventilated enough to let off off-gassing from toys to escape. Besides, I like these old cases, and it would be a shame not to use them. Now for the knockoffs and what little information I've gathered about them. Before the official Hasbro release, this Action Troops G.I. Joe figures case by Minor Industries hit the stores first. It claims to hold 24 figures in 6 removable trays, but I beg to differ. I'm even missing one tray, but as you can see, the vinyl case is way too thin to stack trays to achieve any more than 16 max. Mego's Eagle Force from 1981 and Remco's Sergeant Rock from 1982 must have sped up their creation of this military action figure carry case. I have the brown vinyl version, but there is a green variant out there. The red, white, and blue logo and troopers showing high-tech equipment is an obvious nod to G.I. Joe package art. Next is the 1982 combat figure case from Terra Toys. I've always thought the artwork was influenced by Vietnam-era military designs. Again, we have that prominent red, white, and blue striping meant to invoke G.I. Joe package art. Some versions of the case only hold 12 in one large tray, but I have one that holds 24 in two trays, meant to be stacked on top of each other. This is the typical vinyl case design Terra Toys would champion for the rest of the decade. I don't have the next one in my collection, but it's probably the most interesting non-licensed G.I. Joe carry case of all. The 1983 number 900 pullback tank by Zima Toys. Like the APC, it doesn't look like a carry case at all, and you could play with it like a toy tank, with a rotating and elevating cannon turret and spring motorized pullback and push button release feature. But in the rear is an obvious tucked away handle, and it clamshell splits in two halves, allowing you to store up to 10 figures. Action figures are held tightly in the compartments by their necks, an odd solution if it works. Here's a Spiegel catalog from 1983 showing it. From 1984 comes the Jumbo case by Terra Toys, but this time it's the generic Combat Play Command Post and Jumbo Collector's case. This was the one modified for the JCPenney catalog photo of the licensed G.I. Joe case in 1985. Originally, this came with a rolled-up vinyl playmat, but I don't have one to show what it would look like. Constructed very similarly to the 1985 Jumbo case, it has wonderful Herb Trimpe or Jack Kirby style military artwork inside and out. The best part is the inner artwork on the bottom right, which can double as a small HQ playset. Next is a piece I don't have, the 1985 Top Secret Military Action Figure case by Barocco Enterprises. This one is made to look like a briefcase and was designed to hold 8 figures that were up to 6 inches in height. While not advertised for G.I. Joes, it most likely was designed for Coleco Rambo or similar larger figures. The inside features a cardboard cross-section for organizing figures and accessories. Next is a very generic carry case, the action figure collector's case from Terra Toys. I don't know what year it is from, but as you can see in the art, the obvious transition from the waning Star Wars figure popularity to the up-and-coming G.I. Joe figure trend. So my best guess would be 1983 or 1984. Here is another one I don't have, but it seems quite popular and was advertised a lot in 1985 through 1988 Sears catalogs, a camouflage Footlocker style case. I don't know who made it, but it held 18 figures in 3 vac form trays. The trays themselves are very interesting because not only are there separate slots for accessories, but the top tray has a clear plastic cover to further secure loose toys in the case. Another Terra Toys carry case called the Combat Figure Case is a typical vinyl 24 figure 2-tray design with what looks like World War II or Korean War inspired art. Those soldiers look like they're wearing old airborne uniforms. I don't know what year this was released. The final one in my collection is the 1987 Combat Collector's Case by Terra Toys, sometimes known as the 3D case due to its raised artwork and bumper frames. This is a large vinyl case that opens in book style, but retains Terra Toys' typical 2 trays that hold 24 figures total. The artwork again is inspired by G.I. Joe, from the wild-looking military characters to the logo with a perspective stretch effect, aping the official logo from 1986 to 1989. There were 2 variations of this case, and I have neither. The first is a typo on the copyright information which omits the 1987 year, and the rest of the text is misaligned as a result. A rarer variation is the outer case being black, not the common red. Terra Toys also repurposed this case design for Mattel's Captain Power action figure line that same year. To finish off the video, here's a look at the only non-North American carry case I could find, but I'm pretty sure there must be others. It's the G.I. Joe Commandos Heroicos official case from Argentina by Plastorama in the late 1980s. Plastorama was under license by Hasbro to make G.I. Joe toys for their country. It's very similar to the 1987 3D case by Terra Toys, and the camouflage around the back instead of unadorned vinyl is pretty cool. If you know of any military-style action figure cases I might have missed, please describe it in the comments below.